my PhD was built on the idea that good animal welfare is not only about minimizing negative experiences, but like pain and injury, but also about providing animals with positive experiences in life. And we worked with natural behavior that occurs in pigs, and that was play behavior. And we use the play behavior we try to use the play behavior as a tool to improve the pig's quality of life. There is a lot of evidence that play behavior generates positive feelings in animals, and there is neuroscientific evidence that it really promotes the secretion of endogenous opioids and dopamine.
Welcome to Swine Canada, brought to you by Wise. I'm Aline Rimas, and I'm your host today. I'm dedicated to bring you the latest insights and discussions in the swine industry. And let's stay ahead of today's episode. So I'm very happy to have with us today Dr. Karolína Steinerová. She is with the Swine Producers of Saskatchewan, and she is one of our new stars in welfare and swine behavior. Thank you for being here with us, Karolína.
Thank you for having me.
So, I would like to know a little bit of your background. Tell us a little bit how you got here. What is your academic background?
Yes, of course. So, I am currently working as a manager of producer services at Saskatchewan Pork Development Board, where my role is to support pork producers through education, on-farm welfare programs, and outreach. But I am originally from the Czech Republic. I came to Canada in 2021 to do a PhD in swine behavior and welfare, and I did the PhD at the University of Saskatchewan. And before the PhD, my academic career was all about animal welfare and animal behavior. I did my bachelor's undergraduate degree in animal protection and welfare, and then I got my master's in animal sciences. And it's really recent that I completed the PhD. It's only 2 months ago, so it still feels very, very fresh. That's the brief intro.
Well, you sound very passionate for what you do. But what brought you to work with animal welfare and behavior? What was the click and you say, that's what I want to study?
Yes, I think it really started my childhood when I spent a lot of time with animals in a countryside, and I thought that I would be a veterinarian. But when there was the time to decide what you want to do in life, I was checking the veterinary universities in the Czech Republic. And in the same university, there was a new undergrad program, Animal Protection and Welfare, that just newly opened. And when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, that's it. Like, that's what I want to do. So it was this gut feeling, and I followed it, and it felt like the right path. So that's what I did, and that's when my animal welfare passion started officially. What I really like about animal welfare is that it's a proactive field. It wants to prevent issues, so we can think about it as a preventative medicine. And it's great to work with animals to improve their health and well-being before problems arise. But when my specific interest in pigs started during my master's, when I chose to study pig behavior during feeding, pig aggression at feeding. And I did my master's degree in Sweden, and we got into a lot of contact with pig producers. So that's when I was first introduced into pig farming, and I saw pigs, how they're so intelligent and emotionally complex. So, and then I realized, I really like science. So let's combine it. Let's just be a scientist or a researcher and work on pig projects.
That's funny when you say to think in animal welfare as preventive medicine, because like you, I first started going to the veterinary side of things, and I work with a vet, and I was like, was for me, it was so hard to work with the sick animals and so on. And she told me, you can't. You have to be actually passionate to work curing animals and really taking care of them in their most vulnerable moments to be a vet. I think you're in the wrong path. And like you, I went back, and one of my first courses was animal welfare, and I end up doing animal science a little bit like you, like following this passion. And I'm very curious to know what you try to answer during your PhD.
Yes, absolutely. So my PhD was very great. Now retrospectively, I see it all in bright colors. But of course, when I was doing it, it wasn't that great all the time. It was very challenging. But I am very proud of my project. And my PhD was built on the idea that good animal welfare is not only about minimizing negative experiences, but like pain and injury, but also about providing animals with positive experiences in life. And we worked with natural behavior that occurs in pigs, and that was play behavior. And we use the play behavior as we try to use the play behavior as a tool to improve the pig's quality of life. There is a lot of evidence that play behavior generates positive feelings in animals, and there is neuroscientific evidence that it really promotes the secretion of endogenous opioids and dopamine. So, knowing that, we were like, okay, it's a pleasurable behavior. So, if we promote it, we can improve. We can actually provide them positive experience in the barn, in the current systems, which don't really offer that much outlet for the animals. But this, because it's a naturally occurring behavior, we were confident to say that we can stimulate it and we can have positive results and outcomes from promoting it. And our goal, one of the goals, was also to offer cost-effective and practical way to stimulate play behavior. So we worked with affordable materials like cardboard, paper, rope, like common enrichment materials that farmers can use. And what was really exciting about the project is that we really got great results from it. We infected pigs with PRRS virus, and we had two treatments. We had play treatment and control treatment, and play treatment was reared with regular play opportunities since birth, and then we infected the pigs, and we found out that the pigs with play opportunities were actually less affected by the PRRS virus, and they grew more during the infectious periods, and they also had milder clinical signs, and they were just in general better off during the disease. So we concluded that providing positive experience, it doesn't need to always be play, but positive experience for the animals is beneficial also for animal health and for overall welfare, of course. So I would say the big takeaway from the PhD is that enhancing animal welfare is not only extra costs, which is sometimes thought of, that it's only increasing the cost of production, but really we can think about it as an investment for long-term investment that is actually beneficial for animal health and resilience and productivity in the long term. So I think that's the most important message from the PhD. And we have proof. We published all the chapters from my PhD. So if anyone wants to read more about it, it's all open access. The first paper is open access, so people can reach and read more about it.
So, Karolina, can you just, in general terms, what is a common play behavior? Can you give us very specific examples of what in the farm is a common behavior?
Yeah, so play behavior occurs mostly in young animals. So in pigs, it's between 2 to 6 weeks, the most intensive period, and we can see it pretty easily. It's associated with the excitement, positive excitement that pigs are jumping and chasing each other, and they are manipulating objects if there are some in the pen, but in like an excited manner. There can be social play when two or more pigs are playing together. That would be chasing, running around, jumping, or object play, or locomotor play, or all together. It's sometimes very hard to say to tell them apart, but I would say a simple description is really animal appears and joyful. There is no aggression involved. And they are excitedly moving in a positive context. So you also need to kind of understand the context of the pen, or whether there is something happening that is a little bit unusual. If it's all as usual and there is nothing like negative going on, the excitement and the running and jumping you probably see is play behavior. But of course, it can also be something like that pigs are a little bit scared when a person enters the room. So you need to see what was happening in the room before or during you saw play behavior to be sure that it's play behavior.
That's my curiosity, but I once was talking with a professor in behavior, and he was trying to understand why animals actually played. Because if you think in a very evolutionary idea, is they're kind of wasting energy, right? Playing and something like that. And when I link that, when you're talking about your study and you say the animals that played were healthier, in the end, they faced this sanitary challenge in a much better manner than the animals that didn't have an enrichment. So if I get it right, for example, one of the enrichments that you had in your pens were carton paper and things like that you put, and these animals had the opportunity to play, and then they came out of this challenge happier. So in your opinion, and in what you know about the animal background, is that makes sense that animals that play are using some evolutionary tool to also develop their immune system, or can you walk me through that, because I find that very curious.
Yes, yeah, there is definitely a lot of involved, and we don't know everything. That was one of the biggest challenges in my PhD, to actually know why do we see what we see, because the play is an physical activity. The animals are exerting more energy than when they just sleep or walk, because there is running involved, or so locomotor play is more energetically demanding. So there is this thing, and we know that exercise is also mild or moderate exercise is also beneficial for overall health. So we can attribute part of the results to this increased physical activity, but we have not measured a lot of indicators about this. But that's an assumption from other research that has been done. And then one thing that is very exciting is what's happening in the brain. And unfortunately, there is also not a lot research in pigs. Most of the evidence from neuroscience comes from rodents, predominantly rats. And there is a lot of knowledge that animals, when they play, when the rats play, there are endogenous opioids and dopamine secreted, and it promotes the positive feelings, and it makes them feel better. And when you feel better, you also can fight the immune challenges better. But we really don't know like all the dots. We cannot connect all the dots and tell you the complete story yet, because there is a lot of assumptions and gaps in the literature. But we have the indications that being in a more positive state, emotional state, and that's also similar for humans. And you have this common flu, and you have like good lifestyle, and you try to like enjoy life and do what you like. If we measure this person that tries is like in a more positive emotional state, and then someone who might be a little bit depressed or it's not really doing well, we can say there is evidence that the person in a better emotional state might fight the virus more effectively, that the immune system is more is recovers better and faster. But really, like the full story, we don't have that. It's a lot of assumptions. But I guess even through all the assumptions, finding something like this, it was just so exciting for me to see that. I'm like, wow, the pigs really grew more. Um, and yeah, seeing like the growth performance for pig farming is like one of the biggest findings always. If you can improve growth or slow down growth reaction, that's always like, wow, that's good. And we saw that in the play pigs, which was very, very exciting.
I'm really jumping to conclusions here, but trying to link what you're saying is normally when we're talking about animal welfare, we often forget the behavior, right? And we when I say we, I say as scientists that are not in animal welfare and behavior, what we do is like we try to qualify animal welfare through health, right? We always say, well, but they're healthy, and we're giving them like clean environment, and what you're actually telling me is no, that's not enough. For that, you need that the animals have not only a clean and safe environment, you also need them to have opportunities to express their behavior, because, okay, here's me jumping to a conclusion. Happier animals, and then is why now we have this, we have more and more people that work in animal behavior telling us you have to quantify if your pigs are happy, and that's I think is a big challenge, because we, as you said, for us we use human instincts to say looks that this animal is happy, but we cannot truly measure if he's happy, right? But what your research is showing us is promoting actions in which this animal can express its play behavior and in theory be in a happier emotional state or closer to its natural welfare condition, help these animals to develop better, help them to grow better, and we are seeing also a health response. So there is for me, what you're showing in your research is this clear link between welfare and health, and I'm just like curious to see like what is one of the treatments that you did that you would say this is easy to implement for producers. Do you have one that you could give us an example for us?
Yes. So we understand that really it needs to be practical for producers to implement something like this. And in my PhD, we have not had time to try like really this treatment on production farm without the researcher actually doing it. So that's really the next step for another project, for some other student to finish this, because we really need to test whether we can find positive outcomes from play treatment on commercial farm when the farmer is actually doing the treatment. And how we think about practical implementation is combining this delivery of different objects that pigs like, which is also tempting to think about because pigs don't like everything you give them in the pen. They like to distract, they like to chew, and the the object needs to also be meet some biosecurity levels and be affordable. So we really, what worked was the cardboard. So let's say we will give them cardboard and rope, and let's say that a caregiver or a farmer goes and does regular health checks in the morning, right? Anyway, they need to go to the room. Sometimes they walk the pens. If you walk the pens, it's actually better because we can combine giving them some like their favorite objects to play with the human. And when the pig associates the human giving them the objects, then the human also becomes positive for them because they just link these two. So that's really good if you can have like closer interaction with your animals, if the farmer has time to do this on the farm. So really, like walking the pens in the morning once a day, throwing them sufficient amount of cardboard, let's say, into their pens, given that they are kept in like these larger groups in bigger pens, where they actually can like run around and they have more space in bigger pens. So do this once a day, and then they connect the person with the positive objects, and we assume that this is the positive stimuli for the animals. And if you do it regularly, like once a day, that's the important thing. It's not just one-time thing. This needs to be done on a regular basis, because the animals they will expect that. They know that, oh, it's coming, like we have it. I don't know their perception of time, but let's say they kind of know, okay, it comes regularly. So that's our thinking about it. There are also other things we can do. For example, using music and connecting the delivery of the objects, the cardboard, with some music. They like classical music. That there are also scientific studies that pigs like classical music. That's fascinating. And so we can do different things that don't cost much. Having a loudspeaker in the room is not a big investment, and it can be also associated with the object delivery and the person. So there are really things we can try, and I really think this has a potential, especially given what the results we got from the disease study. And yeah, it's really I think generating like play response in pigs is also rewarding for the farmer to see, because if your animals play or they appear to be joyful, like that's an indicator, yes, they thrive, they are healthy. So I think that it's rewarding for on both sides, for the pigs and for the producer.
Yeah, and it's funny you're saying. I was laughing because sometimes we imagine that buying these very fancy toys, like we had this beautiful yellow huge balls for our pigs, and we gave them, and they didn't care about it at all. What they want was the toys that the people from Swine Complex made with like some rubber that they could bite and throw around. They had way more fun than the fancy ones that we bought and brought. And then we realized that every day we actually had to take away the bowl and wash it, because if it was not perfectly clean, the animals would not play with that. And I was actually fascinated to see how, like the simple actions, and then you'd actually see that the people go in with the yellow ball and the animals are all happy and running, and then they play a little bit with it, but it's like, no, we want simpler toys. I don't know if you have seen anything like that, but it was just, I find fascinating to actually see that. And I get that you're saying like, well, you have to have the time to do that and all, but I think it's quite rewarding. And I think if we all in the industry, the producer, the researcher, everyone wants that we give the animals the best life they can have. I think everyone is working towards that, and I do not believe there is anyone that don't have the best interest in mind. So I think the type of research that you have been doing is extremely important to do this practical link, and I really appreciate that. So, and you at home, if you're enjoying this episode of Swine Canada presented by Wise Ethics, please like us, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. You can also set notifications on from your channel, from our channel, to don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. And please feel free to leave us comments anytime. And if you have questions to Dr. Steinerová, please do it. Leave it here. We can invite her back to answer more questions about it. And also leave any comments that you have of what you want to see here in our channel. So, Karolína, how was moving from academia to work directly with producers?
It felt like a natural step again for me. Because I really love research. But I realized that really to make an impact, we need to understand the day-to-day farming operation issues and challenges, and the research should be translated into actionable steps and connected to a practice, because sometimes we do a lot of research that is great but never really is used in the field, which is unfortunate. So I was like, okay, so I did my PhD, so what's next? So if I got this opportunity to start working with swine producers in Saskatchewan, it felt naturally to me. And I believe that to create positive change, we need to understand the issue from all sides, and that meant stepping out of academia into the field. So right now, I support producers with through any challenge they may face. I am also in charge of this Canadian Pork Excellence Pig Safe Pig Care pig trace in Saskatchewan. And I talk with producers about what they need, and I help them with that. I'm training them in animal welfare and transport, and in whatever they ask me, I try to help them. So it's rewarding to talk to them and build a relationship, and see actually that they want to do good, and they want to be good in their business, and they want to treat their animals right. And also, honestly, it's a very different world compared to academia. So I'm still easing into it. It's not, it doesn't happen overnight, of course, but so that was the reason why I didn't continue in academia for now. So it's been rewarding so far.
How do you see that your training in academia have helped you to shape the way that you face the challenge and help the producers to answer the questions they have, or help them to solve the problems they have?
I think my transferable skills are really good. Like during PhD, you of course learn research and how to write a publication and analyze a lot of data. But then PhD students also come out with a lot of transferable skills, like really critical thinking and how to solve a problem effectively. So these things are really helpful, like these skills. I think what is the most important is communication and how to deliver the information to different audiences. Because, of course, the language in academia is very different than how you talk to producers and in general in the swine industry. Like, you don't use fancy scientific terms. You really need to say it as simple as possible, but still the message should be there. So I'm still learning that. It's challenging, but I think really practicing the soft skills and trying to say things simple is very helpful on day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it's because we say producers, and I mean producers are very smart. They're very well informed. So we say producers, but I think we scientists sometimes we struggle in general with the lay public, right? Sometimes I'm talking with my friends and try to explain a few things, and then I realize that we are often in this bubble. And we don't realize that our choice of words or the way that we try to explain things sometimes is not as logical for other people as us. So I think it's very important that we keep working in the soft skills, right? It's very interesting to hear what you're saying. And how do you see that we can bridge the gap between what we're doing in academia and how we do the transfer of knowledge for the public in general, for producers, for the industry, for pork consumers in general, that we need to improve, I think, our communication. How do you see that we can do that?
Yeah, so we already talked about communication, which is a really important part, but also I think very important is to build relationships with each other and don't be alienated from each other. So don't think about academia, industry, government like separate bubbles. No, we are all connected and we all work towards a common goal. And so not being afraid to approach each other and get to know each other like humans. And so there is an aspect of trust that is making a big impact. If you trust the person, you will listen. And if a stranger comes to you, be it a researcher, producer, or anyone, and it starts telling you something, you probably don't really want to take his words seriously, or you need to dig into more information before you do what he or she suggests. But if you have common trust and if you have interacted before, or you know that this is a credible person, you listen differently. So I think, and that really applies to everyone in all industries, that we should really just work on our trust and relationships and not being afraid to approach each other. And that's, I guess, in the swine industry, we have opportunities to do that at conferences that are focused for producers, but we usually have some researchers there as well. So really just foster the interaction there. It's a friendly environment. Just don't be afraid to walk up and talk to each other. Or a researcher can just, pick up a phone and call a producer and ask about something in a friendly way. Like, it doesn't need to be an hour-long interrogation, but just nice communication. So this is challenging for sure. I know as a student, like very recently graduated, but at conferences, walking up towards producers and even different researchers, that's always hard. You kind of don't want to do it, but then when you do it, it's rewarding afterwards and you see the benefits. So really trying to approach each other and build trust. I think that's how we can bridge the gap between researchers and producers, because then we listen better.
It's time for our famous three.
Looking to boost the productivity and health of your swine herd? High D is the original pure source of 25-hydroxy-D3, proven in over 100 research trials and fed to millions of pigs each year in North America. High D improves bone strength, immune health, and enhances overall performance. Whether you want to improve sow longevity, get heavier nursery pigs, or help your grow-finished pigs thrive, trust the original, proven 25-hydroxy-D3 High D. Learn more at dsm-firmenich.com/hy-d.
To me, sounds like the way you're telling me that, I'm just thinking you're study with pigs that if we have playful interactions, after will be rewarding for us the same, right? Like, just go for it. That's thank you. That's very nice. So we're arriving to the end of our podcast, and we have 3 questions that I would like you to answer. So, do you have a favorite swine-related book that or resource? Can be a podcast, can be a movie, can be anything that you would recommend people to watch that is swine-related?
I don't think this book I want to recommend is swine related. It's more animal welfare, but it was the first one I read and like during my academia career, and it's Animal Welfare Limping Towards Eden by John Webster, and I want to recommend it because it's a nice, easy to digest book with a lot of knowledge. And there are chapters about pigs, but there are chapters about all farm animals. And industry-related, swine-related, I happen to go often to pigprogress.net. That's kind of a web page I like when I want to know what's happening in the pig world. So that's my recommendations.
And in terms of non-academic book or research, what do you like? What do you recommend outside agriculture?
So the recent book I read is *Sapiens* by Noah Harari, and that book is very interesting. It talks about agriculture, but really from a different perspective. It's challenged my views and really left a strong impression. It's about how societies and humans evolved. But it's again easy language and it's really interesting. So if people want to try something different, I would recommend *Sapiens* by Noah Harari. That's a very, very nice book.
Fantastic. And in your opinion, what is that sets a successful swine professional aside from those that are not?
That's we already said that. It's really the ability to communicate and across disciplines and perspective, and also to listen without judgment. Because the most influential people I work with or met are really able to build relationships without judgment and based on mutual respect. So that's important for everyone in all fields, not only swine professionals. So really listening, non-judgmental, and being able to articulate what you say, and have respect for each other.
Well, thank you, Dr. Steinerová, for being here with us today. And this concludes another episode of Swine Canada presented by Wyonetics. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to stay updated on our future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. Your feedback is very important to us. And until next time, this is Aline Remus, from Swine Canada, your host today, signing off.